Hi, welcome. This is your introduction to D2L, Developing Doctors to Leaders. This is Dr. Harjot Singh. I'm going to introduce you to the training and walk you through what we're going to do. You see, developing doctors to leaders is an imperative. It's essential, it's urgently needed, and it benefits physicians, it benefits patients, and the organization. I developed this program because I have tested it through years of experience teaching, training, mentoring, coaching leaders just like you in healthcare. And I promise to bring real world results substantiated by research and evidence and personal experience to you. This is a structured program. It has its roots in scientific literature, psychology of self, awareness, emotional intelligence, communication, relationship building, cognitive behavior coaching, goal setting, habit creation. And in this video, we'll start with why physician leadership is needed, and then how it is to be developed and what we'll do together to help you develop into an effective physician leader. But before that, a little bit about me. As a leadership advisor, I create programs like this that help leaders like you make their leadership work. You see, I see my work like how Yoda helped Luke discover his potential, like a powerful Jedi warrior he would become, not the farm boy he was or the starfighter he wanted to be. I am a practicing physician, a physician leader, and faculty at American College of Healthcare Executives. And my work is informed by all three perspectives. And since 2016, I have coached and trained doctors and leaders on topics like engagement, influence, productivity, turnover, burnout, public speaking, career advancement. You see, just the other day, I had such a moving experience when a physician leader in a training shared her victory on day 2 from a place of feeling clueless forever. The day before, she had successfully moved herself to a place of clarity while practicing the homework on thinking that we have for you in training as well. Now she could do what she wanted to do. And I saw it like magic right in front of my eyes when she removed her doubts. I'm a national level conference speaker, and I have written several articles, publications, textbook chapters. The overarching goal of this training is to serve patients better, have better patient outcomes through developing physician leaders. Program is helpful for all three areas of physician leadership. A physician leader leading a team of nurses, office managers, MAs, and front desk staff. Also leaders who lead physicians like chief of service, chief medical officers who have like straddle roles, clinical work and doing clinical leadership, and physicians who are in pure operational roles, CMOs and physicians who have become CEOs. And as we speak, the new positions get created for physicians. At this point, the way things are going, we have chief quality officer, chief engagement officer, chief medical informatics officer. These are very heavily operational roles that are coming up for physicians to be physician leaders. So the program helps people all across the spectrum. Let's come back to why physician leadership development is needed and why it needs to be effective. First of all, you have to see that as a leader, you have many problems. It's never one single thing. It can create overwhelming confusion, but for the sake of simplicity, you can divide these problems into quantitative challenges, hard dollar problems, measurable, measured quarter to quarter, and qualitative challenges, soft dollar. You see, hard dollar like high turnover, engagement, burnout, well being, high rates of disputes. How often do you have physicians come and argue with you about getting more money? Disruptive behavior from physicians. You see these every day. And these are things that you're going to be asked to fix, for lack of a better term. You fix it, you make it better. At the same time, things which have a big influence of quality of life in workplace. People don't feel understood, lack of trust, conversations are not constructive. That creates a very hostile, toxic work environment. And physicians start seeing leaders, administrators, physician leaders like they're suits, stuck in rigid bureaucracy. And sometimes, why did I become a leader? My career is stuck. This creates low job satisfaction, lack of effort. New initiatives are not implemented. You wake up and you feel like you don't want to go to work. You see, it's good to solve hard dollar problems. They plague your performance, the numbers, but it's the soft dollar ones that suck away your joy and self-confidence. And they both stand in the way of advancing your career. You see, an effective physician leader has to focus on both quantitative and qualitative problems, especially as they're connected to patient care, quality, safety, and satisfaction. But it also means that you're getting results. It also means you have to live your purpose because it affects all dimensions of performance. See, we usually confuse performance with productivity. Let's look at the chart and see all 6 dimensions of performance. And for that, look on the left column, what every leader fears: lack of productivity that keeps everybody at risk of becoming unemployed. Poor quality of work takes up all the time trying to fix the errors. Team is not motivated. Nobody's taking initiative. Team's not even working like a team. They're dumping problems on each other, especially you. And changes keep on coming while the last plan hasn't been implemented. And look on the right, things you'd love to have: productivity, quality, initiative taking, teamwork, adapting to change. What do you think? Which leader is getting the results and living their purpose? Would you rather be a leader in the left column or the right? Would you rather exist in a place of fear, confusion, stress, or confidence, clarity, and happiness? You see, even if you don't do anything, inaction, that moves you to the left column. However, here's the reality. The reality is most physicians have no leadership training. And studies show it too. It's kind of like somebody who was never trained to ride a horse and is now supposed to get a video made riding a horse like an expert. Can be very anxiety provoking. And people who know how to ride horses, they know what I'm talking about. Just like that. Physician leaders can be ill-equipped to do the job that they're asked to do. You see, I do a great deal of coaching for physician executives, and most physician leaders I have coached have MBA, MHA, FACHE, CPE, these certifications. And they still ask me for help because their team isn't responding to them. They have team members who don't do the work that they ask them to do. They're not getting results, data, measurement indicators, quality, safety, patient experience. They are not working. These leaders feel that they lack hands-on applied people skills. Simply stated, you need yourself and your people together to be effective. And that can't be done without focused active training about these skills. You're not a novice or a failure. You're already successful. You just need to build the specific skill set. That's the next essential step to get you out of this mess. So when we talk about lack of leadership training, what we're talking about is lack of training for you to deal with these kinds of real issues related to relationships with other people. So why do we need to develop doctors to leaders? Let's start with the organizations which set standards for us. So if you look at the leadership literature published through the years by Joint Commission, there's actually quite a bit, and it keeps on changing. So it's hard to even keep track of the language that keeps on changing. But Joint Commission recognizes 3 pillars of leadership in healthcare: the governing body and the C-suite. You can easily see those two, but the fully 1/3 is the medical staff, the 3rd pillar of leadership in healthcare. The Joint Commission recognizes that we need to develop physician leaders. If you look at the language, it says that we need to develop and maintain the competencies, skills, and effectiveness of individual physician leaders. The Accreditation Council of Graduate Medical Education says the same. This is one of the domains of competence that physicians need to develop in training. And in 2011, American Hospital Association created a list of physician leadership competencies and how they must be developed. In addition, leadership skills and practices have a positive influence on patient outcomes and healthcare organization outcomes as well. You see, research shows that best hospitals are run by doctors, and this has been shown again and again and again, and it stood true for decades at this point. Hospitals led by doctors have more than average 25% higher quality scores. People bicker over why that is, but it's just the way it is. The 2 best examples are Mayo Clinic and Cleveland Clinic. And when you try to understand it deeper, the number of leaders and managers, the percentage who have a clinical degree, were the main decisive factor in understanding why there was this positive connection. See the proportion of people with clinical degrees who are in managerial and leadership positions. Next point, doctors are seen as domain experts. So if you see the best NBA coaches, they used to be NBA players. Being a domain expert builds credibility among peers. You have walked the walk. And that's where having someone who you hold in high esteem leads to high employee satisfaction. And also because physicians have a continued focus on patient care. They value that over and above everything else. That leads to these quality outcomes. You see, if you look at the impact beyond the patient, you can see the burnout studies show if you have physician leaders, there's positive impact on well-being and satisfaction of physicians. This study, of course, was done at Mayo Clinic. However, the reality is that if you look at just plain clinical leadership and you look at the study done in residents, that one, they feel unprepared to lead clinical teams. At the same time, when the leader was prepared, there is discipline, there is respect, and the patient's quality of life is better. This study was done in a psychiatric hospital. And finally, if you have effective communication and teamwork, research shows that that leads to better patient outcomes, higher patient satisfaction, and higher staff satisfaction. So all these skills may look qualitative, they have quantitative outcomes that can be measured directly. And if I can emphasize effective communication and teamwork, the studies show that nearly 1/3 of medical error and medical mistakes are not in a root cause analysis identified as technical skill lapses or knowledge lapses. These are skill-based errors that people are making. Error in communication, miscommunication, failure to transfer information appropriately. People aren't wanting to talk to someone who has information that they need. So by looking again at effective leadership behavior and just proving one area of healthcare communication and the teamwork that results from that effective communication, we could potentially eliminate 1/3 of medical errors. And it goes to the point when you are in a root cause analysis and you participate in one tragically because something hasn't gone right. And this is a process of trying to identify what we can do better. How do we get better? How do we get better in facing complexity? And you know that communication is vital to that. You can't get away from it. So the more effective you become as a leader who can communicate, you're going to impact so many areas of patient safety, patient quality, patient experience. You're going to impact the quality of work life of your team, hospital team members that are there to give you support. Now, at this point, majority of physicians are employed, and there is a need for these employed physicians to have effective leaders as well. You see, people trust doctors. Patients trust doctors. Doctors are always in the top 3 groups of professions which are trusted the highest, and pandemic only made it better. If you look at the number of Mayo Clinic or Cleveland Clinic through 150 years of physician leaders, I have included a link to the video that explains why they have physician leaders. When Cleveland Clinic had a structured program, they trained physicians, almost like kind of put them in a pipeline on the one end, and at the end of 10 years, 43% of those physicians were in leadership roles. You see, physician leaders are not just going to spring out of anywhere. They need to be trained. They need to be developed so they can be effective in the interest of themselves, the patient, and the organization. So if you don't do it, you compromise patient quality and safety outcomes. By the way, this paper, the one on complications by John Burns, a fellow faculty member at American College of Healthcare Executives, is a wonderful read. He has links to other articles about why physician leaders need to be developed, but he discusses that leadership is needed for real outcomes, like complications and complication management. Now, complications are expensive. They cause poor outcomes. They threaten safety. They cause lawsuits. He shows that just having a physician leader work 0.1 FTE, first learning how to do it and then run the program. And in that study, one medical director was saving $70,000 per year, just managing complications in a leadership role. So one focus can change that much quantitatively. If you can imagine, if you don't develop yourself as a physician leader, if your organization isn't developing physician leaders, you're losing opportunities for yourself and the organization. If you don't do it, you see, that's not a neutral position. The studies are showing it. Lack of leadership development causes burnout for you, your team, leads to all kinds of bad things like turnover, depression, suicide. So if you don't do it, then this has a very negative effect on everyone all around. So the question is, how do you develop physician leadership? You see, broadly speaking, we have 2 sets of skills: technical skills and behavior skills. As a physician, you pride yourself on your technical expertise. That's what you worked hard for and earned respect for you in your early career. That's also one of the reasons you climbed up the leadership ladder in the first place. But when you climb up, it's the need to have behavior skill competencies that rises exponentially. It's kind of like when you think of your own life, you have had few leaders and bosses. When you think of leaders and bosses you have had, who comes to mind and what made them the best? Think of the best one. When I ask this question in my programs, people usually give a list like, that person was dependable, patient, honest, inspiring. And when I ask them about their worst boss and what made them the worst, they usually say, inconsistent, couldn't trust them, put me down, selfish. That list is usually longer, and these people are easier to recall as well. Did you ever think what made one a good leader and what made the other one the worst leader? Best one, toxic one. What was it that distinguished one from the other? Was it their technical skills or the behavior skills? The answer is simple. It was the behavior skills. These are hiding in plain sight. Like the majority of the iceberg is hidden, but is responsible for carrying the top wherever it goes. You see, no amount of technical skills or process improvement can make up for lack of behavior skills of a leader. You can see healthcare news site like Becker's Review that are full of physician leaders committing all kind of behavior flaws, cross the line into immoral, unethical, illegal behaviors that derail their careers and reputation. You see, behavior skills are the secret leverage for your performance. Mastering these skills will help you develop yourself as a physician leader so you can deliver results and find purpose in your work. They'll help you move from a place of fear to a place of what you desire, place of confusion and stress to a place of clarity and confidence. Simply stated, Your performance is a function of your technical skills times behavior skills. You're a highly accomplished, successful professional already. You don't lack technical skills at this point. In fact, technical skills, if you're board certified and double board certified, and this is the second time you have done the boards, technical skills are coming through your years. There's no lack of technical skills at this point. And in this training, I want to show you that the tool, even the psychometric tool we're using, the PPI, is proven to connect your behavior skills to your performance. And 6 aspects of your performance: the productivity, the behaviors that lead to completing tasks and projects, quality of your work, behavior that shows you're committed to doing the job and producing good quality results, taking initiative, your ability to strive for and achieve personal goals and organizational goals, teamwork, your commitment to teamwork, which means behaviors which create higher exponential results in group situations towards attaining certain goals, problem solving, using your primary behavior style to resolve situations in conflict, with goal attainment, and finally adapting to change. Some people call it resilience to change, which means your behaviors when you're faced with variations with work, personal environment, including crises. And you'll learn to identify the key behaviors necessary to make that happen. So your behavior as an individual leader and sustained organizational performance come together, then they're connected. And that you don't just know this intellectually. At the end of this training, you'll have experienced it. This is training, not just didactic lectures. The reality is that you experience other people and they experience you in your behavior too. You have had physicians as your educators, as your bosses, non-physicians as well. And you know how you responded to behavior that you found to be inviting and approachable. What it was like to be around somebody that you knew was going to affect you negatively too. Just like that, your behavior is not a secret. In fact, behavior lapses are painfully obvious to everyone except the person who's committing them, and that each one of us can have 1 or 2 key behavior tics that get in the way of our leadership effectiveness. And when that happens, you're in clinical role as physicians, the inability of people to connect with you, your team members who connect with you, the support that they provide, the professional assistance that's needed for you to apply your technical skills at the highest level, all become impeded. These are blocking behaviors that get in the way of performance. And at the end of the day, what you're really dealing with is physician leadership development is for improving and enhancing the ability for you to produce the outcomes that you desire. And that's what your patients need too. So very quickly, leadership means different things to different people. And just to be realistic, we're not even going to split hairs here. Even though this is a theoretical distinction between leadership pure and management pure, we will touch both, but with main focus on leadership. If you look at these practical definitions, one talks about process of social influence, which maximizes efforts of others towards achievement of a goal. That's the kind of definition we're using here. For workplace leadership, so we're not talking about other domains of leadership here, and we'll stick to healthcare, not community leadership or religious leadership. You look at the other definition, the accomplishment of a goal through direction of human assistance, that's more like a management-like definition, and that's okay too. There's always overlap. It's just there. We can't help it. So we don't lose the practicality of this program. This program fills a gap for you. I'm sure many of you have taken other types of leadership programs that are well-intended, well-educated, well-informed, but I'm going to venture a guess that those programs were heavy on technical-oriented skill sets. And what we're doing here, we're closing that gap in performance as a function of both your technical skill, which is intellect, strategy, and a function of your behavior capacity. And that's what I've been teaching for about 5 or 6 years now in a host of professional organizations, that individual leader behavior really is the singular most important predictor to how a team will perform. Not your intellect, not your raw talent, but not plans and strategies to make. If people can't connect and engage with you as a leader at a personal level, then they're not going to connect and engage in their work. You're not going to get the outcomes you desire. So we're filling that gap. We're going to emphasize developing physician leaders by focusing on behavior capacity skills that gets you social influence to maximize the efforts of others so you can achieve your goals. Simple as that. These goals in healthcare are patient safety, patient quality. You see, the process of developing and becoming an effective physician leader is kind of like a ladder. And nobody is stuck on one rung all the time. And if you look at this ladder, it's kind of like a process of ongoing lifelong learning and growth process, or the opposite of that. Look at the lowest rung of this ladder. You see the leader who is toxic. Actually, it's their behavior which is toxic. And this is the kind of person whose main goal is self-preservation, making excuses, blaming others. This is the person it's my way or the highway, an autocrat. This is a boss who's a risk factor for burnout, lack of engagement. This is the kind of person that's going to cause a loss in results and the performance to be poor. Just like people say, the employees don't leave organizations, they leave bad bosses. This is the kind of person that we're talking about. Fundamental to the behavior pattern of this individual is that they live in a mental model and a worldview that life revolves around them. They wear t-shirts that says life is all about me on the front, and on the back, it's a reminder to you, don't you ever forget it when they're walking away from you. Their whole concept is focused solely on self. They can't consider other people. They don't consider the needs of other people. And right above the toxic leader is a neutral leader. And a neutral leader gets to be there primarily because of strong technical skills, seniority. This person is a technocrat. And this kind of a person borrows everything from their technical expertise. If something is of concern, if something comes up, challenge comes up, a problem comes up, they're going to fall back on that. This kind of a leader also creates silos. They can't think beyond themselves and their teams. The other teams don't exist within the organization. And as you can see, this kind of a person will use technical skill set almost like a hammer to hammer down everything. That's their answer to everything. And because of that, very soon, even with best intentions, they start appearing authoritarian and toxic. So even though this person did not start as an autocrat, like the toxic person, and over time, they don't develop the other skill set they need to develop, and they make technical skill set look like everything, they start looking like an autocrat to others, even though they are not overly toxic. The internal mindset is they can think about others. They think of themselves first before they think of others. So both the neutral and the toxic behavior dynamic is fear-driven. Fear, internal fear, insecurity for the toxic individual that displays behaviors only for self. Fear manifests for the neutral. When things are okay, it's safe, then only I'll think about others. But this fear, frustration, conflict comes up. They self-preserve. They're going to take care of themselves first. They're not going to take care of needs of others, and they become ineffective. They don't get results at high level of safety and quality. They impede the ability to provide levels of high degree of patient experience. They are not effective colleagues that you can trust. You can't build effective relationships with them. You always have to be guarded. When you're around these people as colleagues, you're always protecting yourself and guarding yourself. My friend and colleague, Michael Frisina from ACHE, he never uses the word leader for them. The best he'll call them is a boss. And you don't want to be one of them. In fact, the vision, which is considered one of the core things that a leader holds and communicates, the toxic leader doesn't have much of a vision beyond themselves, what they want. Neutral leader can have a vision, which is just the technical skills and expertise, narrow theme. It's kind of like tunnel vision. So that's why you need to climb to the next rung on the leader where the breakthrough happens. And we have a benevolent leader. Benevolent leader is not a bad leader. He's a bureaucrat, borrowing the authority, the tribal authority that comes with the position. They use a broader set of rules and control and broader set of rewards and punishments that are given to them from the organization that comes with their position. They're not typically proactive. They're given things to do that come from the top. And when they try to do it, that's how it has always been done, kind of thinking. In fact, there's research about this, that just being benevolent, following the golden rule, do unto others what you want done to you, doesn't make for a very effective leader in the long run. An effective leader needs to be proactive, needs to create their own vision, needs to have a sense that they are in charge of what they do and how they collaborate with others, how they connect with others, and how they get results. So benevolent leader is sort of a passive leader and ends up using and overusing the tribal authority that's given to them. They lack a vision in that sense. So their why is not very clear to them. And at the very best, they end up being good managers. Now, there's still tension between focus on self and focus on others. And that's where the effective leader is not someone who has a tunnel vision or a borrowed vision. They create their own vision. The effective leader is proactive with a purpose, connection with their core, which are their values. And they understand what their behavior patterns and strengths are. And as a leader, they know that they don't have to master every single behavior domain because they have people that they need to work with. And they need to find those people who are better than them at doing those. And they're proactive in finding such people. They create teams full of such people, people that complement each other, rather than competing with each other or just surrounding themselves with people who are yes men, like them. So the mindset is this balance between self and others, although they may look like that they give no consideration to self at all. So as a result of that, they live with tremendous amount of absence of fear. There's no fear of looking like an expert or that they have to know all the answers. And that's what I want for you. Want you to be that kind of a leader that makes magic happen in performance like that. So what are we going to do? So far, we have gone over why we need to develop doctors into leaders and how it is to be done. But what are we going to do in this training program? It's very simple. You see, developing yourself as a leader in these 3 steps is what you need to develop to become an effective leader. To help you implement what matters is what I'm going to train you in. And what we're going to do exactly that in this training program. This is an introduction. So 3 steps are intention, preparation, and action. The intention created with self-awareness, preparation to collaborate, and action to connect with your team. These are not sequential, they go on together, and when they come together, they're almost like 3 tumblers of a safe. They open doors to results that are otherwise not possible. When these click, you see difference in yourself and others with tangible results you can measure and track. And the overlap of these 3 circles is really what I call the heart of performance. If you're missing in intention, you won't find any motivation and your performance will be degraded. No energy. If you're missing preparation, you won't have clarity. You won't have focus. You won't connect with others. And if you lack action, you won't have performance. So execution of your roles and responsibilities. If you don't have people who are coming along with you on this performance journey, your performance will be degraded. Without action, you're not going to be able to sustain it, but you're not going to sustain action without your intention or preparation. You see, you won't be able to leave any leadership legacy of people coming behind you or developing future leaders. See, when you put all these 3 together, you can actually learn and manifest the behaviors of all 3. You create a peak performance dynamic with a culture of performance, culture of individual dignity and worth, where individuals of the organization gain a sense of meaning and value and purpose. So people want to come to work and further the interest and goals and objectives of your organization. And that's, by the way, the definition of engagement. So now you show up with mind that is lit up and light up the minds of others, as opposed to a blown up state of mind and blowing up others' state of mind. So what are we going to do together? You have done the pre-needs assessment, I hope. And even though we have a structure for the program, I want to hear from you ahead of time. So when we are doing the training, I can address your questions, your concerns, your needs, so you find this even more effective. Email me if there's anything that comes up. This is not a rote program I'm going to walk you through. 3 assessments we're going to do. They don't take long. Each one is 15 to 30 minutes long, but you have to do it. There's a didactic learning component like this video, just like this one you'll watch, and then we'll do training sessions. We have one very special training session, the Team Builders Bootcamp, where we'll have all your assessments all pooled together. We pool in the data gathered around all of you here and create an experience for all of you to work together if you were to be an effective team. And you will see how an effective team building starts in that. It's fun. My intention is that you will see that this is one of the many stepping stones in your lifelong learning and growth. And you're going to have to get out of your comfort zone, get in the zone of optimal learning without getting in the zone of panic and giving up. So, and we'll of course connect it all to your strategic action plan. So you learn to do what you learn over here. In the end, I will need your feedback. So I want to thank you for giving me this opportunity to take you on this journey. I look forward to working with you through the time that you and I are going to spend in this program and beyond. So physician leadership is imperative, essential, and urgent. It helps physicians, patients, and the organization. In this, you will learn that effective physician leadership is a combination of behavior skills and technical skills, like a performance leverage. And this is not just for feeling good, it's for real world results, quantitative results that you desire, everyone desires. It's for physicians who want to be more effective with themselves and their teams to deliver results for that matter. And with the acknowledgement that most physician leaders have no training in how to be effective and that they are busy people. So I've created this as a very practical toolkit for you. So when you have your duties pulling you in all directions, this shouldn't be a burden. This should feel like you're applying as you're going. I will teach you not only the didactics, but how you create action and implement what matters. So you're not just going to learn how to talk the talk, also how to walk the walk. And that's it for the introduction. So I'll see you in the training.